What's up, YouTube? So we back with another one from Tommy G. He's inside a SWAT and drug task force raid. Bro, how does he get on these? Bro. Like, where could I apply to do this? Just to record and just be there, just be a recorder?
My name is Tommy G, and you might be wondering how I got here. Initially, I took a road trip to Memphis where I was going to be working with a nonprofit called We Fight Monsters to cover a story on human trafficking. But my friend at the nonprofit, Ben Owen, said, well, if you're going to be coming to Memphis, you might as well meet my friend Johnny Carter. He does undercover drug busts here. So of course I give Johnny a call, and like any true pal would, he invited me to a raid. You see, Johnny happens to be the director for West Tennessee Drug Task Force, so he has the pull to actually invite me to a raid where we'd also be meeting up with members of Memphis Swat and other law enforcement agencies. Seeing as I've spent much of my career on YouTube covering the criminal side of the coin, I thought this would be an interesting opportunity to interview law enforcement and hear their story. And growing up as a bit of a pothead and rebel in high school, I've always had a little suspicion about police and authority, partly because I had trouble accepting that someone with a badge had the power to send me to jail for reefer, and partly because I was probably paranoid in my smoke-filled car. But as I've gotten older and lived in more sketchy neighborhoods, I've come to realize that good and accountable law enforcement is essential to a safe community. So in this episode, we get to witness a raid, I get to ask law enforcement all the sorts of questions you might also want to ask, and towards the end, good old Johnny has to draw his gun, but more on that later. This, folks, is inside an undercover drug bust. Let's get into it.
New merch at TommyGMcGee.com.
Welcome to the underworld, folks. Honey G.
6 a.m. in Memphis, Tennessee. We're gonna be taking an inside look into the world of drugs at an angle that we've never seen it before. Usually on the channel, we're the ones interviewing the guy that's selling it, buying it, and this time we're gonna be interviewing the side that's raiding it. So I think we're gonna learn a lot.
That's fire.
It's raining a bit here in Memphis, so I asked Johnny, are we still going in? Johnny said we're like the post office. It's rain or shine, they're gonna visit you. So, what's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Good to meet you. How are you? You guys get nervous for stuff like this? If that vehicle shows up to your house, you know you're
Oh yeah, you know, there's no question.
And how many overall men do you think will make this breach?
So there'll be one SWAT team that'll make the breach. Then once the SWAT team secures the house, everybody's in cuffs.
How many people does the
They've
SWAT team
checked it,
have?
they'll do a secondary check.
6, 8?
Then the search will start.
Do you get nervous before stuff like this?
Doing it for 26 years, I still get nervous every day.
And do we know what we're hitting this guy for?
Fentanyl,
And how much we talking?
ounces.
How much can I make off an ounce of fentanyl?
It's about $20 a button. A button's about 1/10 of a gram. About $5,600. It's a never-ending battle. It's a game of whack-a-mole. You knock one down and two more pop up.
What was the timeline of when you feel like fentanyl really entered Memphis?
As soon as the states and the government cracked down on prescription opioids, you had Big Pharma. They introduced the opioid pain meds, they introduced the pain scale, and they made pain a right in the hospital, and doctors were giving it like it's the best thing since sliced bread. And then you had addicts that got addicted to it.
It's crazy hearing law enforcement acknowledge that Big Pharma is the root of a lot of the drug addiction issues in America, yet when you look at things, not one executive has ever served prison time, and all these small dealers are getting busted. It speaks to a growing frustration with Americans that the white-collar criminal...
You know what I think it is? I think it's all like, it's kind of planned, because like, let's say there's no more drug dealers. Okay, now the cops are not going to be catching nobody, arresting people. Now there's going to be, all right, well, we don't need 50 police no more. There's no more drug dealers. We don't need 50 police. We need like 20. Okay. Now, all right, maybe I don't want to be a lawyer. There's no more drug dealers. Well, I'm going to be able, like, all right, now we're not going to need no drug lawyers now. I think, like, everybody will be losing money if there's no more drug dealers. Like, so I feel like it's just a spinning circle, like, need a drug dealer to pay the lawyer, lawyer get money, court get money, everybody get money.
criminals can get away with anything and get rich, and the little guys get 10, 15, 20 plus years.
And then everybody cracked down on it. They did away with it. They're not prescribing it as openly as they used to. And, cartels, they pay attention to what's going on and they adjust. They're a business. They're all about money.
So right now we're traveling in a convoy.
Oh, yeah.
Around how many men would you guess are going to be on this operation?
Oh, geez, 30. So what we'll do is they'll go in and secure. They'll do their initial entry, the initial search. They'll get everybody that's out in the open secured in handcuffs, and then they'll do a secondary search for anybody that might be hiding, and then we will start the search.
Before we see this raid, I wanted to get the scoop from someone who's been raided a few different times. This is Fila. He was a big Memphis drug dealer and OG back in the day, and this is his story.
I had this trap house over on Macklemore, and every night it was a f***ing party there, 7 days a week. It was coke, it was crack, it was seed, man, plenty of money, everything. I loved it. So one night I was inside my bedroom and I knew the music.
Bro, just take the tooth out. Bro, you do not need that tooth anymore. It's over. Take the tooth out, bro. Take the tooth out.
Up front be loud and everybody be partying, but I was f***ing tired. I just had to get some rest. And I woke up in the middle of the night and it was f***ing quiet, and I'm like, so I get up and I walk out. My front door, the raw end door was wide open. Next thing I know, when I turn my back, bam! The cops. So they take me to the door and I look out on the porch and everybody that was in my house was handcuffed and laying face down on the ground.
So there's a trap house right next to a sheriff's deputy?
So that's probably why they're not selling as much out of that house and going to other places.
Okay, so they're at the front door, they're preparing to...
Bro, the trap house is next door to the sheriff, bro. What's good with y'all? Are y'all retarded? Bro, y'all retarded, bro. Come on. They want to be arrested.
Go.
Bro, imagine that. Like, bro, you right.
So they're not doing a no-knock raid, I take it?
No, those are illegal now.
Probably for good reason, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're breaching the door. They're kicking the door. So he's not
Trap house next door to the sheriff.
So I really don't know at this point.
If there was
Yeah,
going to be a
retarded.
shootout today, this is the moment when it would happen.
Stupid.
For a tense minute, there was a standoff in which all guns were aimed at the house. Thankfully, the suspects decided to surrender peacefully, and after that, the SWAT team conducted their search.
So this is actually a female that's our main target.
No draws? No pants?
Damn, can you imagine raining out, you're woken up at 6:20 a.m. in your underwear and you're taken to jail, and that, how many years is a guy like this facing most likely? Like,
So it depends on the amount and their criminal history. Sale of fentanyl is a Class B felony.
They should get the maximum amount of time that it carries. Fentanyl is like playing Russian roulette. You don't know if you gonna hit this shit and you gonna die or not.
One thing I'll be scared of is that dog, boy. That dog bites you, boy. Listen, he just might not let go.
6:30 a.m., the raid was completed without a hitch. Now the rest of the house is being searched. These people were wanted for selling fentanyl. I guess we've been doing this job covering the underworld long enough that I can say I've never met
next door to the sheriff, bro.
Anyone that I would consider evil. I meet people that make really bad decisions. But you gotta draw a line in the sand. Like, is someone that sells a large quantity of fentanyl, are they evil or just a good person making bad choices? Like, what level of sympathy or grace do you give to somebody like that? It's easy from an outsider, like, oh, the guy just selling drugs to pay his rent. Like, I don't think it's right, but I get it. Okay, that's one level. Another is, she just sold a dose that killed my brother. Like, now it's personal. Like, how many bodies are attached to this fentanyl game? And then, you know, when everything is said and done, how much of this just has to do with poverty and rough situations? We were at a Texas prison recently, and not one of those guys came from an upper middle class home with 2 parents in the household. Like, show of hands, who would say they grew up in poverty?
The thing is that they're selling stuff that could literally kill you. Like, I know everything could kill you if you overdose, but like that, like the guy said, you never know. You take one day, you take one the next day, you dead.
Show of hands, how many of you had your father in your life growing up as a kid? How many of you didn't? Certainly the job of a drug dealer has been popularized, has been glamorized in hip-hop and rap. Like, the hustler is the guy that people look up to in a community. And is that because rap made it cool, or because, depending on what area you're from, that might be the one guy with some sort of resources? I don't know. If I'm treating everyone like I'm an older brother and I could give them advice, I don't think I would tell them to do anything that can result in years behind bars.
But you know how stupid you
What
gotta
amount
look
of money is worth time in
to
prison?
sell next door to the
Like,
sheriff.
even if someone said, I'll give you $1 million, but you gotta go away for 10 years. No, I wouldn't take $1 million for 1 year. Some of the law enforcement we spoke to were operating undercover, and for this reason, we had to blur their face for their interviews. For the average guy in the streets out there, can you remind them how much of a bad idea having a switch on you is?
Turns it into an automatic pistol, which is an ATF violation, which is a federal crime. You know, and once we do our job, what the actual prosecutors do with it is kind of up to them. The other big problem we're seeing right now, man, is that, man, we're grabbing these dudes and putting them in jail for serious violent crimes, and they're getting out, you know, in a day or two.
Like murder?
Murder. It's all in the news right now in Memphis, man. They're released, they're RORing guys on first-degree murder charges.
What?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's in the news. I mean,
Because it's innocent till proven guilty, or like, what's the rationale for that?
their rationale, I think, is that they're like, well, you know, you're innocent until proven guilty, and then they're like, well, this person they arrested doesn't have a job, and they live at home with their mother, or whatever. And I understand a little bit of that. I can empathize a little bit, but when it's a violent felony, bro, and the other thing is, you're right, it is innocent to proven guilty, but law enforcement, I've been doing this for 18 years, man, and law enforcement, in my opinion, we don't put charges like aggravated assault, aggravated robbery, murder. We don't put those charges on people just with a little bit of evidence to make it probable, right? Probable cause. We don't do it. It is hard evidence, man, because I don't want to, even if we have doubt, we're not going to arrest somebody on a charge like that unless we're firmly convinced that they committed that crime. The repercussions of even just being charged and arrested, and maybe even being released later and found that you're innocent of it, like that can follow somebody for the rest of their life.
Right now, the people I'm most afraid of are typically like the 15-year-olds. This is Steve Mulroy, the district attorney of Shelby County. He and his team of 110 prosecutors set the tone for how crime is fought in Memphis, the most dangerous city in America. Some in the city praise him for things like increasing funding for the homeless and ending the illegal practice of 48-hour holds of suspects without probable cause. But others, including some of the cops we spoke to, thought he was soft on crime and deserved blame for some of the lawlessness in the city. This is what he had to say. Let's dive more into the juveniles, because what I've noticed in traveling the country and being in some of the craziest areas is it's the younger kids, 13, 14, 15-year-old kids that you sometimes have to be the most afraid of. How do you curb them, but also not just give them a free pass to get out tomorrow and do it again?
There are 2 particular types of crimes here in Shelby County that we're really concerned about with under 18 crime. One is car break-ins and the other is car thefts. One of the things we're doing to address that problem is we've set up in our office something called the CARS unit in our juvenile court team. And the idea is that the goal is to try to intervene early on where these under 18, but these kids are committing a nonviolent car break-in or a nonviolent car theft. We're trying to intervene before they graduate on to more serious crimes. By the time they come to us, they're already down the wrong path, right? What we really want to do is intervene more upstream. earlier in their lives where it can be more effective.
The people that are doing the killing, especially the young guys, like what is the psychological profile that it seems like there's been such a loss of value in life? What is that?
I don't think a lot of these killings are done with any real thought put into it, right? I think it's an emotional response at a moment's notice.
So impulse control issues?
Very much impulse control. I mean, that's why you're seeing most of these young people that, you know, in their teens that are committing a lot of these crimes. It's impulse control. For whatever reason, I don't think they understand the ramifications and the depth of what they're doing.
Do you think the killer celebrated?
Yeah, oh yeah. Man, so-and-so got 2 bodies. He got 3 bodies. You know, whatever. You know, that's how they look at it. It just continues, man.
So for someone that says, like, wow, man, people are in tough situations, poverty.
Bullshit, you're making excuses, man, because you can say it's because they come from, you know, an environment that doesn't give them chances. That's bullshit, man. I don't want to hear that. It's still the United States of America, man. If you make the decision to make your life better, you can make your life better.
What's going through your head right now?
I'm just glad everybody's safe.
Yeah, I don't know. My opinion on that, yeah, they do have choices, but I feel like as kids, like kids just want to have fun. And if your circle of friends is like troublemakers and that's how they have fun, there's nothing that they could probably do about it. I'm not gonna lie.
We're safe, the bad guys are safe, nobody got hurt, so that's a good day. And then of course, we found what we were looking for, so that's an even better day.
Were there any weapons found?
No weapons, surprisingly.
How often do you find a switch when it comes to a fentanyl bust?
Switches are all over. The external switches, now they've got internal switches too, which are harder to you have to break the gun down to find it.
Over the course of your career, how many raids, busts do you think you've gone on?
Oh, Jesus. Well over 1,000. I've been in law enforcement 26 years, full-time dope and gangs for 21 years. I do anywhere from 1 to 6 a week. So that's a lot of math this early in the morning.
Does it feel like you have a wild job?
It used to. It's kind of become the norm for me now. I mean, I still love it. It's still exciting. And it's still a community service.
I don't know. I would say like, I don't know. As a kid, if an adult is telling you, yo, don't do this, you're going to regret it in the future, they won't understand until they're in the future. So, and the kid is going to do what they want to do. They want to have fun. They want to run outside. They want to do this and that. And especially if there's people that they looking up to that got a nice car, got the money, got this. However they got it, boy, they're going to try to be there. They're going to try to do that. It's like it takes... I just don't think stuff like that, like, I don't think they'll be able to change. I think it's just something like they just got to learn their lesson at some point. Maybe there should be some type of
rough is this
probation.
immediate area that we're in right now?
If it wasn't raining, we'd have heard 10 gunshots.
So rain almost helped the operation?
Rain helped keep us safe, absolutely. There wasn't any lookouts, there wasn't anybody out. So we're going to go ahead and process the evidence, count the money, do some field tests on the narcotics that we seized, and start the process that nobody wants, and that's the paperwork.
All right, guys, we'll see you at headquarters. You've been doing this for 26 years. How have the last handful of years been different, or what have you noticed about these last handful of years? So, back when interdiction first became a thing, back in the, I'd say the 90s, it was pretty much trunk loads. You know, they throw it in the trunk and they take it wherever. So when you stop that car and you pop that trunk, or you look in that bag in the back seat, it was full of drugs. You know, nowadays, cartels have evolved. They hire people specifically to try to find ways to hide the drugs. Now, do Memphis gangs come in contact with the cartels?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Do you think the Vice Lords, the Crips, the GDs, that they are doing in some way business with cartels?
Sure, absolutely. Everybody is, if you think about it. I mean, even the end user is indirectly doing business with the cartel.
How has the game changed in the last couple of years?
Oh, it's constantly evolving. I mean, every day you wake up is something new. It's a different way of hiding, it's a different way of selling, it's a different terminology, it's a different drug.
As we were sitting in Johnny's office, the interrogation of the suspects was happening in the room next door, so I peeked around the corner to see if I could hear how it was going. I tried to imagine how the suspects were feeling, knowing that if found guilty, they faced years of their life in prison behind bars. Is there any misconception about your line of work that you'd like to educate the public on?
There's a difference in opinion, which is what makes America America. Everybody has their own opinions. Some people think, oh, the war on drugs, we're never going to win, and we should leave these people alone, let them do what they do, and they're not bothering anybody but themselves. Some people think they ought to be locked up and the key thrown away for the rest of their life. Personally, I'm somewhere in the middle there. I think if we can help somebody and we can rehabilitate them. There are some people out there that probably need to be locked up and the key thrown away, and that's those evil people that I've stared in the face over the years.
How long can these interrogations go for?
Oh, I've had them go 30 seconds to 4 hours.
When people are in the interrogation room, what percentage of them talk and give up information?
So the majority will talk and will give up some amount of information, and that doesn't mean that they cooperate. This year alone, we've seized over a ton of narcotics since January 1.
What percentage of that is non-weed tonnage?
Oh, the majority of it's weed.
Do you ever feel like when you bust a house for weed, or you're like, come on, it's weed?
Yes and no. The majority of that came off the interdiction unit, off the interstate. It was coming out of California or Colorado, places like that, coming across. Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a big one now. You were speaking earlier about the Chinese marijuana industry, and Oklahoma's ground zero for that.
This person here is trying to make the decisions that would determine how many years of their life will be spent behind bars. Let's tell you more about that process. Let's talk about the odds these suspects are facing. If the feds were involved in the raid, the conviction rate in fed cases is over 95%. If it's just the county involved, their chances are decently better in fighting the charge. However, one thing worth noting is that most of these cases never make it to court. The vast majority result in plea deals. And due to the heavy caseload many courts face, plea deals with reduced sentences are often offered to promote cooperation and accelerate the legal process. Another tactic those charged can expect is an attempt by law enforcement to turn them into confidential informants in exchange for a heavily reduced sentence. If they give away key evidence, this information can be used to obtain a warrant to raid the next dealer in the chain. The flip side of this, of course, is the extreme danger of being found out to be a snitch.
All right, we're going to walk over here. We're going to start going through all the evidence that we recovered from.
He should ask, how many people end up being a informant? That's what he should ask.
From the house. We'll do some field tests. We got to count the money and go through everything.
What is the true economic opportunity of doing this? Someone running a dope house, what type of money are they making monthly?
Roughly, I'm guessing $15,000.
And due to civil forfeiture laws.
Would y'all do that for $15,000 a month? Right next door to the sheriff? Would y'all do that? Right next door to the sheriff, would y'all do that? Think about that. Think about that. Is that smart, bro? Because you might trick people. You might be like, there's no way somebody's selling drugs right next to the sheriff. No way. So you might get away with it. You might fool people. Nah, there's no way he's selling drugs next door to the sheriff. Right next door to the sheriff? Nah, he not doing that. There's no way. He innocent. There's no way he doing that.
Is that money now your squad's?
So to speak. There's a whole lot of paperwork and a whole lot of hearings that go along with that. We can't just take your money. We can't just say, oh, it's drug money, let's take it.
Civil forfeiture is the highly controversial practice in which law enforcement can seize the property of someone suspected of a crime. But the thing is, the suspect doesn't even need to be officially charged with the crime for the property to be taken. The most commonly seized assets include cars, cash, guns, and in some cases even the house of the suspect. Once approved by the courts, the police are then allowed to keep or sell these assets. And many agencies, including Johnny's, fund themselves through this method. And to give perspective of how much this happens, the federal government has pocketed nearly $69 billion through civil forfeiture in the last 20 years. Proponents of this practice maintain that this is a way to keep criminal organizations from getting too powerful by hampering their resources, while opponents of civil forfeiture think this is essentially allowing law enforcement to commit legalized theft and is therefore a major violation of civil rights. Here's my lawyer's take on the subject.
One, the police can come in and take things that they don't know where they came from. Are they fruits of crime? Were they bought with illicit proceeds? Or are they merely someone's actual stuff and cash. And there's been terrible instances where, imagine, the kid is selling marijuana out of his bedroom, small amounts, but the government will come after the parents and go after their car or even their house in some circumstances and say, well, it was used in maintaining a drug place, and so we're going to seize that asset. We see this a lot with people who don't trust banks. Imagine someone who's just trying to gather a bunch of money and go do something, buy a piece of property, buy a car, maybe save for their own house or their kids' college education. So they're squirreling away money, under their mattress essentially. And
That's a fact.
police
I'll
come
be
in
tight.
for some related or unrelated reason, and they grab all that money. What's that average citizen going to do against all the government agents and all their lawyers and all the bureaucracy that's built up to take those assets?
I'm curious to hear in the comments what your
a
take
fact.
on civil forfeiture is.
In your professional opinion, what is the quality of the herb, the marijuana that we have on the table right now?
Probably pretty good. Smells more like medicinal.
Could I offer my professional opinion?
Sure.
Did you ask them what the strain of this might be?
Yeah, they didn't know.
Is not any of that purple Urkel?
No.
Would a raid have been organized just for this
Probably-
amount
he
of
was
weed?
probably like, yo, let me get a grand. Let
It
me
would've
get a little
taken
bit. Let me get a
Pounds
little
and pounds
nugget.
for us to have even thought about it.
Tell me about the fake Perk 30s that's been coming up in the streets.
Oh God, they're everywhere. They're everywhere, and they're so easy to tell. Real Perk 30s are not as plentiful as the fake Perk 30s that are coming out. So we'll double count all this, but these are in $1,000 stacks. So if they're all correct, that's 2, 3, 4, 5. This one stack right here is going to be $8 grand. Shay, on that tablet right there, 5,000 from the third drawer, room 3. So there's another 1,300 from the bedroom drawer. Red tote in the closet, $8 grand. $1,000 bundles, 8 $1,000 bundles.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I would have took like at least a stack. I'll take a stack. I'll give everybody a stack. You know what I mean? They just giving that money away.
What's your guess over there, guys?
18,000.
I'm gonna go with 16.7.
I can't see the stack.
121.
I wanted a taste of what undercover work was like, so Johnny took us to an area with sketchy motels that was known for being a crime hotspot. Driving around in Johnny's car that looked like the Fedmobile, we would soon find out that the locals were not happy to see us. So when you're navigating the hotspot, what are you thinking? What's going through your head?
Well, I mean, you're looking for what's out of the ordinary. So you have this crew walking over here.
Something looks like it's happening.
Something's going on. So she leaned in the window. She disappeared. Either he could have sold to her and she's going up to use, or he's buying and she went up to get the product.
Those
Is
windows
this a
gotta be
circumstance
tinted,
where
right?
the ant leads to the queen?
Yeah, I mean, you take it as far as you can. Our goal
The
is to
car
move
windows.
up. So we get the user
They're
with
definitely gonna see you.
a
You
tenth
pointing
of
the
a
camera
gram,
outside?
or a quarter
Come on.
gram, or half a gram. We flip them to their dealer. We get them, we flip them to their supplier, to their mid-level supplier.
So it's a game of dominoes in a way.
It is. See, that's occupied. There's a guy in the driver's seat backed in right there. He's not going into the hotel. He's been approached at least by one street person. She could have bought from him a while ago. Went maybe put it up in a room for later, who knows.
Have you had any close calls doing undercover work?
Yeah, I've had a few. Went through a neighborhood. Lady was walking through the hood and waved me down, so I stopped. And she tried to sell me some crack. 2 different ways. 2 different kinds
Both
of crack.
types
I
of
guess
crack,
you could
huh?
say. Yeah.
Damn, you must have looked like a good customer.
And that turned into me trying to arrest her. That turned into her fighting, and then that turned into her pimp coming out and fighting with her against me. So I was 2-on-1 for about 6 or 7 minutes. This was the days before tasers.
Uh-oh, the guy that was...
Yeah, how long ago was that?
And
The guy behind us was the dealer, right? Potentially.
Potentially. That's cool. He's filming the car. But
Ooh, he got the switch on it. He got the switch on it? Come on. You know he stole one of those switches.
This sketchy potential criminal reverse Uno'd us. You see, instead of Johnny pursuing him, he began pursuing us in an aggressive manner. Folks, in the shadowy underworld, the laws of the jungle apply, and territory can be fought over fiercely, and apparently we were not welcome here.
Oh, he's heating up.
oh, he'll be fine.
He's trying to get up on the director of Drug Task Force car.
Let's see if he follows me in here. If he does, yeah, I didn't think he was.
You gonna call the boys on him?
No, I was fixing to stop him. Is he still sitting there?
Bro, if he got something in his car, he's stupid for trying to, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Follow
was a
the
little
cop,
concerned
like, come
about
on.
getting boxed in. That's why. That's the kind of stuff right there. I mean, that's in every neighborhood. Like, you come into a neighborhood, you're not known in that neighborhood. You're not welcome in that neighborhood. They're going to be coming up on you. They're going to stop you. They're going to want to know what you're doing there, and that's the part of the undercover risk.
Man, this is a job that puts hair on your chest, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. I tried doing it for 23 years.
Absolute
Tom.
pleasure.
Yep.
Thank
My
you, man.
pleasure. Thank you.
Folks, stay in school. Don't do drugs, except for the ones that he can't find. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Yo, just really don't do drugs that could ruin your life. Weed probably can't ruin your life. Any pills, just don't be the person that be like, damn, I wish I would have never did that. You know what I mean? Just don't take no pills. Just no drugs. If you do drugs, do weed. Bro, you don't need to do anything else, bro. You really want to be up on a sidewalk, nodding off, laying on a side? Come on. Yeah, I don't want to do that. But that's it for today. You already know what it is. Click the subscribe button, bro. It's right there. Click the subscribe button. And like it. I think I'm at like 50 followers. I just need to get to 100. Let me get to 100 and I'm going to stop saying this at the end. Just give me to 100 and I won't be saying it. Alright? I'll see y'all later.